The diplomatic species. The Galactic Assembly's Grand Chamber fell silent as Ambassador Chenwei approached the podium. Hundreds of alien representatives, their forms as varied as the stars themselves, watched the human with a mixture of condescension and feigned respect. Some species shifted their breathing apparatus, others adjusted their environmental suits, but all eyes focused on the solitary human figure. The Sol Federation extends its offer to mediate the Proxima border dispute, Chen announced, her voice steady despite the subtle whispers that rippled through the chamber. We propose a neutral zone, jointly administered by both the Arxian Collective and the Vega Commonwealth. A harsh clicking sound echoed through the chamber as Supreme Overseer Cathax of the Arxian Collective rose from his crystalline seat. His iridescent exoskeleton caught the chamber's light, casting prismatic shadows across the assembly floor. Once again, the humans insert themselves into matters beyond their understanding. Cathax's translator rendered his clicks into standard Galactic. Though we appreciate their persistent efforts at peacekeeping, this dispute requires a more nuanced approach than their simple solutions can provide. The slight drew knowing chuckles from several delegations. Shen maintained her composure, though her neural implant registered a spike in blood pressure. This was hardly the first time humanity's diplomatic efforts had been met with thinly veiled contempt. In the observation gallery, Captain Sarah Martinez of the Earth Defense Force watched the proceedings with growing unease. 20 years of military service had taught her to read rooms like this, and the undercurrent of disrespect was becoming harder to ignore. The humans' rise to prominence in galactic affairs had been meteoric by any species standards. After achieving faster-than-light travel just 3 centuries ago, they had quickly established themselves as mediators and peacekeepers. Their adaptability, combined with their unique capacity for empathy across species barriers, made them natural diplomats. But that very success had bred resentment. Older species, some with histories spanning millions of years, found it galling that these upstart primates had become so central to galactic politics. Rather than open hostility, this resentment manifested in 1,000 small cuts. Diplomatic slights, broken agreements, and increasingly bold provocations. The Sol Federation's track record speaks for itself, Chen continued, pulling up holographic data showing successful peace accords across 12 star systems. We have the experience and resources to. Experience, interrupted Delegate Zixtal of the Vega Commonwealth, their bioluminescent tendrils pulsing with barely contained amusement. Your species was splitting atoms while mine was building Dyson spheres. Perhaps it is time for humanity to recognize its proper place in the galactic hierarchy. More laughter rippled through the chamber. Chen's neural implant registered another spike, but her face remained neutral. In the gallery, Captain Martinez's hand unconsciously tightened on the railing. The truth that none of the alien species fully grasped was that humanity's diplomatic nature wasn't born of weakness, but of choice. The same ingenuity that had taken them from stone tools to the stars in a mere 12,000 years had been deliberately channeled into peaceful pursuits. The Earth Defense Force's true capabilities remained carefully hidden, a deterrent never revealed. Days later, in a secure chamber deep within the Sol Federation's headquarters on Earth, the Human Defense Council convened an emergency session. Holographic displays showed a series of incidents that could no longer be ignored. Trade ships mysteriously lost in navigational accidents, colonies reporting unauthorized resource extraction, and most recently, the destruction of a research outpost in the Ta CD system. Admiral James Chen, Ambassador Chen's brother, stood before the council, his weathered face grave. The diplomatic approach is failing, he stated flatly. Each concession we make is seen not as wisdom, but as weakness. The Arxians have begun military exercises on the edge of our space, while the Vega Commonwealth openly discusses redistributing human-controlled resources. Are you suggesting we abandon our peaceful stance? Councillor Rodriguez asked, though her tone suggested she already knew the answer. I'm suggesting we prepare for the possibility that peace may no longer be solely our choice to make, the Admiral replied. Project Prometheus is ready. A heavy silence fell over the chamber. Project Prometheus represented decades of secret military research and development, capabilities that would shock species who thought they knew humanity's full measure. The latest intelligence suggests a coordinated move against our outer colonies within the next solar month, Martins reported, now standing beside the Admiral. Multiple species, working in concert, believe they can partition our territory with minimal resistance. They expect us to negotiate, to compromise, Admiral Chen added. They've mistaken our restraint for weakness, our diplomacy for dependence. Council President Aisha Patel leaned forward, her augmented eyes scanning the data streams. How long can we maintain the diplomatic facade while mobilizing our true forces? 3 weeks, Martins answered. The automated shipyards in the Kuiper Belt are ready. The quantum defense grid can be activated within hours. Most importantly, the Lazarus Protocol can be implemented across all human ships and installations. The Lazarus Protocol was humanity's best-kept secret, an advancement in technology that would change the very nature of space warfare. But it was a step that couldn't be untaken, a revelation that would forever change how humanity was viewed in the galaxy. As the Council debated, more reports flowed in. Another human ship lost, a mining colony threatened, diplomatic corps increasingly treated with open disdain. Each incident added weight to the growing consensus. Humanity's era of pure diplomacy was approaching its end. In her private quarters that evening, Ambassador Chen reviewed the Council's preliminary decision. Her neural implant interfaced with the secure network, showing her the full scope of humanity's hidden preparations. Part of her mourned for the peaceful path they had tried to walk, but a larger part recognized the inevitable. The galaxy had pushed, believing humans would always bend. Soon they would learn that there was steel beneath the silk, that humanity's choice of peace had never been dictated by inability to wage war. In the darkness of space, automated factories hummed to life, and dormant systems began their activation sequences. Humanity had hoped to lead by example, to show that strength could be found in restraint. But if the galaxy demanded a different lesson, then humanity would teach that too. The question was no longer if, but when, the galaxy would learn that humanity's patience had limits, and when that lesson came, it would be one that no species would ever forget. The breaking storm. The attack came without warning. Proxima Colony's quantum defense grid registered the incoming vessels just moments before they dropped out of hyperspace. 30 warships, their hulls bearing the markings of 3 different species, emerged in perfect attack formation. The Arxian dreadnoughts led the assault, their crystalline weapons already charging. Behind them, vegan strike craft and Meraxian heavy cruisers moved to encircle the colony. In the colony's command center, Governor Maya Patel watched the tactical display with outward calm. "Send the distress signal," she ordered, "and activate Protocol Echo." Her staff exchanged knowing looks. Protocol Echo wasn't a defensive measure. It was a data-gathering operation. Every weapon discharge, every tactical maneuver, every communication frequency would be meticulously recorded and analyzed. The attackers thought they were teaching humanity a lesson. In reality, they were providing invaluable combat data. The colony's minimal defensive screens flared under the first barrage. As designed, they failed spectacularly, allowing the attackers to believe their intelligence about human military capabilities had been accurate. The Arxian commander's voice boomed across all frequencies, translated into standard Galactic. "Proxima Colony, you will surrender your resources and accept new administrative oversight. Resistance is inadvisable. We know the limitations of your defensive capabilities." Governor Patel's response was measured, playing to their expectations. "This is an unprovoked attack on a peaceful settlement. We request immediate cessation of hostilities and..." A second barrage cut off her transmission. The attackers began their landing operations, clearly expecting minimal resistance. They had studied human warfare, or rather, they had studied what humans had allowed them to see of their warfare. Deep beneath the colony's surface, in a bunker shielded from all known forms of scanning, Governor Patel accessed a quantum-encrypted channel. Control, this is Proxima. Phase 1 is complete. They took the bait. Admiral Chen's voice came back instantly. Understood, Governor. Maintain minimal resistance. Let them think they've won. How many civilian casualties? 0. Patel allowed herself a small smile. The evacuation was completed last week. Everyone they think they're seeing above ground is a hard-light projection. The invasion forces met token resistance as they secured the colony's major facilities. Their commanders grew increasingly confident, sharing real-time tactical data with their fleets. None of them detected the quantum probes analyzing their every move, or the nanoscale sensors mapping their ship's vulnerabilities. In the Sol system, humanity's response was already in motion. The automated shipyards in the Kuiper Belt had been running at full capacity for months, hidden from prying eyes by advanced stealth technology. The ships they produced bore little resemblance to known human vessels. These were the products of Project Prometheus, warships that incorporated every lesson humanity had learned from centuries of studying alien conflicts. Captain Martinez stood on the bridge of the EDF Nemesis, the first of the new Titan-class battleships. Unlike the crystalline aesthetics of Arxian ships or the organic curves of vegan vessels, the Nemesis represented a perfect fusion of form and function. Its quantum-enforced hull could adapt to enemy attacks in real time. Its weapon systems were designed to exploit weaknesses that the aliens didn't even know their ships possessed. All Prometheus vessels report ready, her XO announced. Lazarus protocol is synchronized across the fleet. Martinez nodded, watching the tactical display as more reports came in. The attack on Proxima wasn't isolated. Across human space, similar assaults were being launched. The aliens had coordinated well, thinking they would overwhelm humanity's defenses before an effective response could be mounted. They didn't realize that humanity had been preparing for this moment for decades. In the Galactic Assembly, Ambassador Chen attended an emergency session. The attacking species hadn't even bothered to hide their involvement, so confident were they in their superior numbers and technology. The redistribution of resources is a natural part of galactic evolution, Cathax declared. Species that cannot defend their holdings must accept the protection of their betters. Chen's response was calm, almost sad. You mistake our restraint for weakness, our patience for inability. That is an error you will soon regret. The assembly erupted in laughter. Several delegates openly mocked the human ambassador's threats. They had seen the scans of human ships, analyzed their weapon systems, studied their tactics. They knew exactly what humanity was capable of. Or so they thought. In her secure office, President Patel reviewed the final reports. The attackers had seized control of 17 human colonies. Their fleets were moving to consolidate their gains, already discussing how to divide the spoils. Intercepted communications showed they expected humanity to sue for peace, to accept their new diminished status in the galaxy. They've committed their forces, Admiral Chen reported. All major warships are engaged in occupation duties. Their home systems are defended primarily by second-line units. The trap is ready. Patel's augmented eyes scanned the tactical displays one final time. Across human space, hidden facilities were powering up. Stealth fields dropped, revealing stockpiles of weapons and ships that no alien scan had ever detected. The Lazarus Protocol, humanity's greatest technological achievement, was about to be unveiled. Humanity chose peace, Patel said quietly, because we remembered the cost of war. We chose diplomacy because we knew our own strength and wished to use it wisely. She straightened in her chair, but they have made their choice. Send the order. Admiral Chen nodded grimly. All units, execute Operation Thunderbolt. Authorization code, Prometheus Unbound. Across human space, the response began. The galaxy was about to learn why humanity's patience should never have been mistaken for weakness. The storm was breaking, and nothing would ever be the same. The awakening. The first sign that something was terribly wrong came from the Arxian fleet occupying Proxima Colony. Their sensors detected an energy surge from deep within the colony's crust, a reading that defied known physics. Before they could react, every human ship they had disabled during the invasion suddenly powered back to life. The Lazarus Protocol had been activated. On the bridge of a supposedly crippled human defense cruiser, the holographic projection of a dead crew flickered and vanished, revealing pristine systems and a fully operational combat eye. Across the colony, similar transformations took place. What the invaders had thought were conquered vessels and destroyed defense platforms were actually dormant weapons, waiting for this precise moment. Admiral Chen's voice echoed across all human frequencies. Execute Phase 2. The response was immediate and devastating. The destroyed human ships unleashed weapons that no alien species had ever seen before. Quantum-phased energy beams bypassed Archean shields as if they didn't exist. Temporal disruptors caused vegan organic hulls to age centuries in seconds. Meraxian targeting systems found themselves fighting an enemy that seemed to exist in multiple places simultaneously. In orbit above Proxima Colony, Captain Martinez watched the tactical display aboard the Nemesis. The Prometheus fleet had emerged from quantum space precisely as planned, their advanced stealth systems rendering them invisible until the moment they opened fire. Multiple hostile vessels attempting emergency jumps, her tactical officer reported. Quantum anchors are holding them in place. Martinez nodded grimly. Deploy the Void Dancers. From the Nemesis's launch bays, swarms of autonomous combat drones emerged. Unlike the crude drones known to the galaxy, these were powered by quantum processors that could predict enemy movements before they happened. They flowed through space like schools of predatory fish, tearing through enemy formations with terrible precision. The Archean commander's voice crackled across the emergency channels, its translator struggling to convey panic in standard Galactic. This is impossible. Your weapons, your technology, you cannot have hidden this. But we did, Martins responded calmly. For centuries, we showed you what we wanted you to see. You studied our obsolete ships, analyzed our outdated weapons, and never once wondered why a species that crossed the technological gap from planetary civilization to interstellar society in mere centuries would stop innovating. Across human space, similar scenes played out. The invading forces found themselves caught in carefully prepared killing zones. What they had thought were easy targets were actually elaborate traps. The humans had not only anticipated their attack, but had shaped it, guiding their enemies into precisely the positions they wanted them to occupy. In the Galactic Assembly, the emergency session descended into chaos as reports flooded in. Ambassador Chen stood calmly at the podium, her expression neutral as she addressed the panicking delegates. The Lazarus Protocol isn't just a defensive system, she explained. It's a fundamental reimagining of how technology interacts with space-time itself. Those ships you thought you destroyed, they were never damaged. What you saw was an elaborate deception, powered by technology you wouldn't understand for another 1,000 years. On the main display, footage showed human ships seemingly phasing through solid matter, weapons that bent the laws of physics, and defensive systems that adapted to attacks in real time. The Prometheus fleet wasn't just superior to alien technology. It represented an entirely different understanding of what was possible. Deep within the Sol System's quantum defense network, President Patel received real-time updates from across human space. Status report, she commanded. Phase 2 is proceeding as planned, Admiral Chen's hologram reported. Enemy forces are contained. The Lazarus Protocol has exceeded expectations. No human casualties reported. Patel's augmented eyes scanned the tactical data and the civilian populations in occupied territory. All safe, Chen confirmed. The evacuation protocols worked perfectly. The aliens have been fighting shadows while our people were safely hidden in quantum bunkers. They never had a chance to take actual hostages. In the Proxima sector, the battle, if it could even be called that, was reaching its conclusion. The Void Dancers had systematically disabled every enemy vessel, their quantum weapons leaving the ships intact but completely powerless. Captain Martinez opened a channel to the defeated Arxian flagship. Your forces are defeated. Your weapons are offline. Your engines are dead. But your life support systems remain functional, and your crews are unharmed. This is what human warfare looks like when we choose to show mercy. The response came in clicks and whistles that the translator rendered as barely coherent. What? What are you? We are what we have always been, Martins replied. A species that chose peace not from weakness, but from wisdom. We developed the Lazarus Protocol not because we wanted to wage war, but because we understood that true peace must be built on mutual respect rather than perceived vulnerability. Across the galaxy, the news spread quickly. Human forces had not only repelled the invasion, but had done so with technology that seemed magical to most observers. The Prometheus fleet's capabilities defied conventional understanding of physics. The Lazarus Protocol's ability to seemingly resurrect destroyed ships and installations challenged everything the galaxy thought it knew about human capabilities. In the assembly chamber, Ambassador Chen concluded her address. Humanity sought to lead by example, to show that strength lies in restraint and wisdom in patience. We still believe this, but we will no longer allow our restraint to be mistaken for weakness or our patience for vulnerability. The chamber was silent now, the earlier mockery replaced by stunned realization. The humans had never been the simple diplomatic species they appeared to be. They had been a sleeping giant, waiting to see if the galaxy would choose cooperation over conflict. President Patel's next words would be broadcast across every channel in known space. To all species who participated in or supported this attack on human territory, you have 1 standard hour to surrender unconditionally. After that, we will begin systematically dismantling your military capabilities, not through destruction, but through the same precise, surgical application of force you witnessed today. She paused, letting the message sink in. Choose wisely. Humanity's patience is not infinite, but our capacity for both mercy and justice certainly seems that way. The galaxy had wanted to teach humanity its place in the cosmic order. Instead, they had learned a lesson that would echo through the ages. Never mistake kindness for weakness, for when the diplomatic species finally shows its teeth, the galaxy trembles. The new order. The hour humanity had given for surrender passed in a silence that seemed to echo across the stars. One by one, the attacking species laid down their arms. Not out of nobility or wisdom, but out of the dawning realization that they had catastrophically misunderstood their opponent. On the primary viewing screen of the Galactic Assembly, the quantum-encrypted surrender transmission scrolled past in an endless stream. The Arxian Collective, the Vega Commonwealth, the Meraxian Empire, powers that had stood for millennia found themselves humbled not by humanity's strength, but by their own miscalculation. Ambassador Chen stood before the assembly one final time, her voice carrying the weight of centuries of human patience. The surrender terms are simple. All occupied human territories will be evacuated immediately. A demilitarized zone will be established along all borders with human space. And most importantly, a delegation from each species will be invited to Earth. The chamber erupted in confused murmurs. Kthax, his crystalline form notably dimmer than usual, raised his appendage. Invited to Earth. After what we attempted. Yes, Chen replied, allowing a small smile. Because there is something you need to understand about humanity. Something that all your scans and probes and studies fail to reveal. In the Sol system, preparation for these delegations was already underway. The Prometheus fleet took up positions around Earth, their true forms now visible to all. Unlike the utilitarian designs of previous human ships, these vessels were beautiful in their complexity. Fractalized structures that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Captain Martinez stood in the observation dome of the Nemesis, watching as the first diplomatic vessels began arriving under escort. They still don't understand, do they? She asked Admiral Chen's hologram. No, the Admiral replied. They think this is about punishment or dominance. They haven't grasped that this was never about power. It was about potential. The first delegation to arrive was the Arxian Collective. Their diplomatic vessel, once proud and imposing, seemed almost primitive next to the Prometheus ships. As they approached Earth, their sensors detected something that made their crystalline bodies resonate in shock. Earth was not just a planet. It was the center of something far more vast and intricate than any species had imagined. President Patil greeted the delegations in the Grand Chamber of Unity, a structure that seemed to defy the normal laws of space and time. The walls shifted and flowed with quantum patterns, and gravity itself seemed to bend according to the will of the humans present. "Welcome to Earth," Patil began, her augmented eyes scanning the assembled aliens. Or more precisely, welcome to humanity's first and greatest achievement, a planet-wide quantum computational matrix that we have been building since before we achieved spaceflight. The revelations came one after another, each more staggering than the last. Earth itself was a vast quantum computer, its core transformed over centuries into a processing center that defied conventional understanding. The Lazarus Protocol wasn't just a military system. It was an extension of this computational matrix, allowing humanity to manipulate the fundamental forces of the universe itself. "Your species fight over resources," Patil continued, "because you see the universe as a finite space with limited potential. We chose diplomacy not because we feared war, but because we had already transcended the need for it. The technology you witnessed in battle, it's a primitive application of what we've actually achieved." In orbit, the Prometheus fleet demonstrated capabilities that the alien observers struggled to comprehend. Ships phased through solid matter, created temporary quantum duplicates, and moved in ways that suggested they were as much thought as matter. The Void Dancers, Martinez explained to a group of stunned alien military observers aboard the Nemesis, aren't just drones. They're physical manifestations of quantum algorithms, capable of predicting and responding to events before they occur. What you saw as weapons were actually tools for redistributing probability itself. Across human space, the true extent of human advancement began to reveal itself. The colonies the aliens thought they had conquered were mere facades, physical shells hiding quantum computational nodes that extended Earth's matrix across space itself. Humanity hadn't just built an empire. They had begun the process of transforming reality itself. In private chambers, the alien leaders struggled to process the implications. They had attacked humanity thinking they were primitive, only to discover they were so advanced that most of their technology operated on principles that would take centuries to understand. But why maintain the deception? A vegan delegate asked Ambassador Chen, "Why allow yourselves to be seen as weak?" Chen's response was gentle but firm. "We wanted to give the galaxy a chance to evolve beyond conflict naturally. We showed you a path to cooperation, hoping you would choose it willingly. Instead, you saw our restraint as weakness, our patience as vulnerability. You forced us to reveal capabilities we had hoped to introduce gradually, as the galaxy became ready for them." The quantum displays showed the ongoing transformation of the captured alien fleets. Rather than destroying them, humanity was upgrading them, installing simplified versions of their quantum technologies as a gesture of peace. "This is your choice now," President Patil addressed the gathered delegations. "You can join us in exploring the true potential of existence itself, or you can cling to your old ways of thinking. But know this, humanity's patience is renewed, not exhausted. We will continue to work for peace, but now you understand the cost of mistaking our idealism for weakness." As the alien delegations departed Earth, they carried with them not just the memory of humanity's power, but a fundamental shift in their understanding of reality itself. They had sought to teach humanity its place in the galaxy, only to discover that humanity had transcended such limited thinking centuries ago. The age of deception was over. The age of understanding was about to begin. And at its center stood humanity, not as conquerors or victims, but as teachers, ready to guide the galaxy toward a future that most species hadn't even dreamed was possible. Legacy of Light. One standard galactic year after humanity's revelation, The universe had changed in ways that few could have predicted. The great powers that had once plotted humanity's downfall now found themselves students of a civilization they had gravely underestimated. But the humans, true to their nature, proved to be teachers unlike any the galaxy had known. The Galactic Assembly Chamber had been redesigned, its ancient architecture now integrated with quantum technology that allowed species of all forms to communicate and understand each other on levels previously thought impossible. Ambassador Chen stood at the podium. But this time, she shared it with representatives from every major species. "The quantum integration program has exceeded our expectations," she announced, her words resonating in the native language of each listener simultaneously. Over 10,000 worlds have now joined the Universal Quantum Network. The age of resource wars is ending. The age of unlimited potential begins. In the space around Earth, the Prometheus fleet had taken on a new role. Instead of warships, they now served as mobile learning centers, carrying delegations from various species to witness and study humanity's achievements. Captain Martinez, now Admiral Martinez, commanded the educational initiative. Understanding comes in stages, she explained to a group of young aliens aboard the Nemesis. Just as humanity chose to hide its advancement to allow others to develop naturally, we now carefully measure how we share our knowledge, not to maintain superiority, but to ensure safe and sustainable progress. The Lazarus Protocol, once humanity's most closely guarded military secret, had been repurposed into a vast restoration project. Worlds stripped bare by centuries of mining were being renewed. Dead stars were reignited. The very fabric of space-time was being carefully reshaped to support life rather than weapons. In the quantum cores of Earth, President Patel met with the newly formed Galactic Council of Understanding. The chamber existed simultaneously in physical space and quantum reality, allowing minds to meet on levels transcending ordinary consciousness. "We never sought to rule," she explained, her thoughts merging with the quantum field that connected all present. "We sought to elevate. The power we revealed was not meant to dominate, but to demonstrate what any species might achieve when they look beyond conflict." The Arctians, their crystalline forms now integrated with quantum processors, had become humanity's most eager students. They had discovered that their natural ability to channel energy could be enhanced through quantum manipulation, leading to breakthroughs in stellar engineering. The vegans, with their organic technology, found that human quantum science could evolve their bioships into forms that could navigate both space and the quantum realm. Their fleets, once instruments of war, now explored dimensions beyond normal spacetime. Even the Meraxians, the most militant of the former attackers, had found a new purpose. Their strategic minds, augmented by quantum computing, excelled at solving complex universal problems that had plagued civilization for millennia. Deep in what had once been contested space, the first Joint Species Quantum Research Center opened its doors. Here, beings from across the galaxy worked together to understand and expand upon humanity's gifts. The facility itself was a marvel, existing partially in quantum space, allowing for experiments that would have been impossible in normal reality. Admiral Chen, watching the proceedings from the Prometheus flagship, shared a quiet moment with his sister, the ambassador. "Did you ever imagine, when we were planning our response to their aggression, that it would lead to this?" "Hope was always our most powerful weapon," she replied. "We didn't just want to win a war. We wanted to end the very concept of war itself." The quantum network that humanity had begun on Earth now extended throughout known space, connecting minds and worlds in ways that made old conflicts seem primitive and pointless. Species that had fought for generations over scarce resources now worked together to reshape reality itself, creating abundance where there had been scarcity. In the heart of the Arxian collective, a young crystal being interfaced with a quantum learning node. "Teacher," it pulsed to the human instructor, "why did your kind wait so long to share this knowledge?" The instructor, a quantum projection of a human consciousness, responded with characteristic patience. "Some gifts must be earned through understanding, Had we simply given this power to the galaxy, it might have been misused, turned to destruction rather than creation. By revealing it as we did, we ensured that its first lesson was one of humility. The message spread across the galaxy. Humanity's greatest achievement had not been their technology, their weapons, or even their quantum manipulation. It had been their patience, their willingness to endure misunderstanding and disrespect while working toward a greater purpose. In the quantum corridors of time-space, new civilizations were emerging. Species that had once dreamed only of conquest now dreamed of creation. The power to reshape reality itself had paradoxically taught them the value of restraint, of wisdom, of cooperation. President Patel's final address to the Galactic Assembly became known as the Speech of Unity. We revealed our power not to dominate, but to liberate. The universe is not a finite resource to be fought over, but an infinite canvas waiting for all of us to paint upon it together. This was the truth we protected for so long, the future we hoped you would be ready to embrace. The galaxy had learned its lesson, but not the one they had expected. They had learned that true power lies not in the ability to destroy or dominate, but in the wisdom to guide, to teach, and to elevate. Humanity had not merely changed the balance of power, they had changed the very meaning of power itself. And so, a new age dawned, one where the stars themselves bent to the will of unified consciousness, where the boundaries between thought and reality blurred, and where the dreams of countless species merged into a singular vision of cosmic harmony. The species who had once mocked humanity's patience now studied their wisdom. Those who had mistaken restraint for weakness now understood that it had been strength all along. And in the quantum lattice that connected all conscious beings, a simple truth echoed. The greatest power is not the ability to destroy, but the wisdom to create, to nurture, and to guide others toward their own greatness.